divorced at 68 and broke, until I discovered the wealth he never saw. If someone told you that your worst nightmare could become your greatest triumph, would you believe them? I didn't. Not at 68, divorced, broke, and humiliated. But what I'm about to share changed everything. Before we begin, if you find value in stories of resilience and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. And I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. Now let me tell you how I turned my life around when everyone thought I was finished. The day my world collapsed. My name is Mary, and I want you to picture this. You're sitting in a lawyer's office, staring at divorce papers after 43 years of marriage. The man across from you, the one you sacrificed everything for, is smirking. Actually smirking. You'll get what you deserve, Mary, Richard said. His eyes cold as winter steel. Which isn't much. I was 68 years old. I had $847 in my personal account. No career. I'd given that up in 1982 to raise our 3 children and support Richard's accounting firm. No property in my name, everything was strategically in his business trusts. I'd signed papers over the years without question because I trusted him. What a fool I was. The settlement was a joke. After 43 years, I received $2,300 monthly alimony for just 5 years, and a small percentage of one retirement account. Richard's lawyer had done his homework. They'd hidden assets, undervalued the business, and painted me as a dependent housewife who contributed nothing measurable to the family wealth. I walked out of that office shaking. Not just from fear, though God knows I was terrified. I shook with something else, something dangerous and powerful that I hadn't felt in decades. Rage. The cabin that saved my life. I moved into my sister Linda's old hunting cabin in northern Michigan. A place so remote you couldn't get cell service without standing on a rock near the creek. It was November. Snow was coming. And I had never felt so alone in my entire life. The first night, I sat on the floor and cried until I had nothing left. The second night, I made a list of everything I'd lost. By the third night, something shifted. I made a different list. This one was titled, What I Know That Richard Never Valued. You see, Richard saw me as decoration. The pretty wife who hosted dinner parties, who raised the children while he built his empire, who kept his home perfect and his life comfortable. He never once asked about the things I did with my time while he was at the office. He never knew about the gardens I transformed into profitable ventures at our church. He never paid attention when I negotiated with contractors and saved us thousands on home renovations. He certainly never noticed that I'd been managing our household finances so efficiently that we had extra money each year. Money he'd assume was just his brilliant business acumen. Richard never saw my value because he never looked. That was going to be his biggest mistake. The education I gave myself. I had no business degree. I had no formal training in finance. What I had was time, fury, and an internet connection when I drove into town. I spent 3 months doing nothing but learning. I went to the library and consumed everything I could find about personal finance, investing, and entrepreneurship. I watched YouTube videos until my eyes burned. I took free online courses from universities offering open education. Here's what I learned that changed everything. Wealth isn't about how much money you make. It's about how much you keep, grow, and leverage. Richard made excellent money, but he also spent it maintaining an image, luxury cars, the lake house, club memberships, expensive dinners to impress clients. I started to understand that his wealth was largely smoke and mirrors, debt disguised as success. Meanwhile, I had learned something powerful over 40 years of managing a household on a budget: efficiency, resourcefulness, and the art of making something from nothing. I also learned about tax liens, estate sales, and undervalued assets. I discovered wholesaling, flipping, and the power of distressed property. I read about women who'd started businesses from their kitchen tables and retired millionaires. It's never too late to learn new skills. Age is not a barrier. It's often an advantage because you have experience, perspective, and nothing left to lose. The first deal. In January, I was at an estate sale in a neighboring county. I'd started going to these sales because the items were cheap, and I could resell things online for a small profit. It was giving me maybe $200 to $300 extra per month. Not much, but it helped. At this particular sale, I noticed something. The house itself was in terrible condition, dated, neglected, but structurally sound. And no one was bidding on it. The heirs just wanted it gone. I struck up a conversation with the executor. Turned out they owed back taxes and just wanted enough to settle the debt. The house needed about $15,000 in work but was in a location that was starting to see development. I had $4,000 saved from my reselling. I needed this property, but I had no credit, no income verification, and no traditional path to financing. So I got creative. I contacted a local real estate investor I'd met at another sale and proposed a partnership. He'd provide the capital for purchase and renovation. I'd manage the project and handle the resale. We'd split the profit 60 to 40, with him getting the larger share since he was taking the financial risk. He laughed at first. A 68-year-old woman with no experience? But I'd done my homework. I showed him my cost breakdowns, my timeline, my comparable sales data. I'd learned the language. He said yes. The flip that changed everything. Managing that renovation taught me more than any classroom ever could. I was there every day learning about construction, dealing with contractors, solving problems. I'd wake at 5 a.m. and work until dark. The contractors tried to overcharge me at first. They saw an old woman and assumed I was clueless. But I'd studied. I knew material costs. I knew labor rates. I'd gotten multiple bids for everything. When one contractor told me the kitchen renovation would cost $12,000, I pulled out my phone and showed him 3 quotes ranging from $7,500 to $9,000 for the exact same work. I may be old, I told him, but I'm not stupid. Your bid is $8,200, or I'm going with someone else. He did it for $8,000. Knowledge is power, especially in negotiation. People will try to take advantage of what they perceive as weakness. Don't let them. We sold that house 4 months later for a $34,000 profit. My share was $13,600. I'd made more in 4 months than I'd received in alimony payments. And I was just getting started, building my empire. Over the next 18 months, I flipped 6 more properties. Each one taught me something new. Each profit gave me more capital to work with. By the time I was 70, I had $127,000 in the bank and a reputation as a shrewd investor who could see value where others saw trash. But I was also learning something deeper about wealth creation. I started keeping properties instead of just flipping them. I'd buy a duplex, renovate 1 unit, rent both out. The rental income covered the mortgage and expenses, and I built equity. I was creating passive income, money that came in whether I worked or not. I studied tax strategies and learned how to use depreciation, 1031 exchanges, and other legal tools to minimize what I owed to the government. I set up an LLC to protect my assets. Passive income is the key to true financial freedom. Trading time for money has limits. Making money while you sleep has no ceiling. I also learned about credit. At 68, I'd had no credit in my name. Everything had been joined with Richard or in his name alone. I strategically built my credit score from scratch using secured cards and small installment loans. I paid off immediately. Within 2 years, I had a 780 credit score and could qualify for financing on my own terms. The sweetest moment. 2 years and 3 months after that awful day in the lawyer's office, I was having coffee in town when I saw Richard. He looked terrible. Stressed, older, diminished somehow. He saw me and his eyes widened. I was wearing a sharp blazer, carrying a leather portfolio, and I suppose I looked different from the broken woman he'd discarded. "Mary, what are you? You look successful," I offered, smiling pleasantly. "I am. How's the business, Richard?" His face tightened. "Fine. It's fine." It wasn't fine, as I'd heard through mutual acquaintances. His new wife was expensive. His flash was starting to fade. The market had shifted, and his old strategies weren't working. "That's wonderful," I said. "I have to run. Meeting with my property manager about the new fourplex I just acquired. Take care of yourself, Richard." I left him standing there, and I won't lie, it felt magnificent. But here's the thing. The revenge wasn't about making him feel small. It was about making myself feel whole. What I really discovered: the wealth Richard never saw wasn't hidden money or secret investments. It was me. He never saw my intelligence because he never looked for it. He never valued my contributions because he measured worth in dollars earned outside the home. He never understood that the skills I'd honed over 40 years of running a household, budgeting, negotiating, managing projects, solving problems creatively, were exactly the skills needed to build wealth. For 40 years, I'd believed what he'd implied: that my work had no value, that I'd contributed nothing, that I was dependent, lesser, incomplete without him. It was all a lie. Society often devalues work that isn't compensated with a paycheck. But skills are skills. Management is management. Intelligence doesn't disappear just because it's not being used in a boardroom. The educational values I want you to take. If you're still watching, thank you. Whether you're going through a divorce, feeling stuck, or simply wondering if it's too late to change your life, please hear this. 1. Self-education is the greatest investment you can make. I didn't need a degree to learn about real estate, finance, and business. I needed determination and access to information. In the modern world, that information is everywhere and often free. 2. Your experience has value. Every life teaches you something. Homemaking taught me project management, budgeting, and negotiation. What has your life taught you that you're not recognizing? 3. Start small but start. My first reselling profits were $200. That's where it began. Don't wait for perfect conditions or large capital. Start with what you have. 4. Failure is education. I made mistakes. I overpaid for materials. I trusted the wrong contractor once and lost money. Each mistake taught me something I needed to know. 5. Age is an asset, not a liability. I have perspective that a 25-year-old doesn't have. I have patience. I have resilience from living through real hardship. Don't let society tell you that your best years are behind you. 6. Financial literacy is essential. Understanding how money works, really works, is the difference between working for money and having money work for you. Learn about compound interest, tax strategies, debt management, and investment vehicles. 7. Revenge is a dish best served with success. I could have spent years bitter and angry. Instead, I channeled that energy into building something Richard never thought I could. The best revenge is living well and proving wrong everyone who underestimated you. Where I am now. Today I'm 70 years old. I own 11 rental properties generating over $8,000 monthly in passive income. I have a portfolio worth approximately $1.4 million. I've remarried to a kind man who values my intelligence and partnership. I also mentor other women going through late-life divorces. I teach them what I learned about finance, property investment, and self-worth. I show them that 60, 70, even 80 is not too late to rebuild. Richard. I honestly don't think about him much anymore. Last I heard, he'd sold the business and downsized considerably. I don't wish him ill. I simply don't wish him anything at all. He gave me an unexpected gift, you see. He stripped away everything I thought defined me and forced me to discover who I actually was underneath. I was never just a wife. I was never just a mother or a homemaker. I was always capable, intelligent, and strong. I just needed to believe it. Your turn. If you're watching this and feeling hopeless, please don't be. If you're facing a setback that feels insurmountable, it isn't. If you're being told you're too old, too inexperienced, too anything, they're wrong. The wealth you're looking for might not be where you expect to find it. It might be in skills you've discounted, knowledge you've accumulated without realizing it, or strength you've never had to fully tap into. Hit that like button if this resonated with you. Subscribe for more stories of resilience and transformation. And please tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And what's the one thing you're going to start learning about today? Remember, you're not done. You're not finished. You're just getting started. I'm Mary, and at 70, I'm building wealth, living well, and proving every single day that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming everything they said you couldn't be.
Thank you so much for watching and supporting this story. May inspire strength when you feel weak, may it give you wisdom when you face difficult choices, and may it remind you that courage and self respect always matter. Till next story, take care, goodbye, God bless you.